You're listening to another episode of Badassmums.
I'm Tneek, a female rapper and bid professional.
I'm Shahlaa Tahira, presenter and content creator.
And I'm Cilla, singer-songwriter and all-round creative.
Together, we are Badassmums.
Welcome back to another episode of Badassmums. Today, so, elephant in the room, quickly. We haven't got Tneek.
Yeah, baby girl. She's so far along, and today was just not her day to come in.
Right, so it's only going to be me and Shahlaa, but we're going to be discussing a very potent subject.
I'm sure a lot of mamas can relate to this one, and also we are living it.
Definitely.
So I feel like it's good for us to discuss it.
Definitely. So yeah, we're going to be talking about co-parenting.
Yeah.
Co-parenting. Yeah, the taboo subject.
And I'm new to this life. So should we give some context in like what our co-parent situation is?
Yes. So essentially it's when mum and dad are not together or they're not predominantly living together. So essentially they're living apart. So you're having to manage going between both homes with your children or child. I guess. Is that the right term?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have two children, and their dad is very active. He has them consistently 3 days a week.
Right.
But they're also sporadic days. They're not 3 consecutive days,
Right.
which makes life amazing. Not. And what about you? What's your co-parenting situation?
So my co-parenting situation is, a lot of it is due to distance at the moment because we don't live close. When he was kind of living close, it was pretty much, there was no set schedule, basically. We definitely need to discuss the stability of it all because
Honestly.
when co-parenting doesn't go smooth and it's not on a very like A to B thing or black and white, it can create a lot of issues. It can create a lot of relationship breakdowns, basically.
Because I was talking to my girl about this, who's co-parent, and she was like, yeah, he has him, when I really need him to do something because of work. And I was like,
No.
babes, that's not co-parenting.
No.
That's babysitting.
Co-parenting is when like what rules are set there for both parents abiding to, basically. And essentially it's your child. So it should never feel or be a thing where it's like, oh, I need the help, so I'll help you because you need the help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, but like, it's also that parent is so competent and confident with their children that when you hand over the child to the parent, there's no big explanation of this is what time they eat. They just know how to look after the child. Whereas with my brother and his son, whenever he's with his son, he can't manage that child. He's only 1, so it's still new. But I'm like, you're not a co-parent because you are not even comfortable having your child without mum involved.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like the especially the dads who, and you know what, big up the dads who are consistent and who
Big you up.
and who are consistent, who are there, who are, who make the extra effort, as well as just not it just only being a thing of, oh, these are my days and then that's it. Like the dads who actually go above and beyond and will be like, you know what, I actually just want to see my son today, so I'm gonna go get him even though it's not my day.
I wish I had more of that. Like for me to have that, I have to be on my deathbed.
Oh,
like, I have to be like, I am dying. I physically can't even bath the kids, so they're either gonna stink or you need to go and get them. Like that's when I think their dad stepped up and been like, it's not my day, but I'm gonna support.
Yes, yeah.
Otherwise, he's very much, these are my days. And also, and maybe you'll find this as well.
Yeah.
I feel like the co-parenting always revolves around what the dad's preferences are. So for me, I would not choose. Like their dad has them Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. That's really annoying for me because it means that
it's very. I can see how it will make it hard because it's very like
back forth.
Yeah.
And then even like, I can't get a lay-in because if I'm not getting up to get them ready to hand them to you, I'm up because I'm with them.
Yeah.
And also, I see you so many times in 1 week. Like, I don't want to see you this much.
Yeah.
Because I see him Monday to pick them up.
Yeah.
Wednesday to hand them over. Thursday to pick them up. Friday to hand them over. Saturday to pick them up.
It's
Sunday
like
to hand
school
them.
run, isn't it?
Literally. Like, honestly, it's too much.
It's very different if it was like, okay, I don't know, from Friday to the end of Sunday. Because then that's like a stretch of time and there's no back and forth.
Exactly.
As opposed to, I guess, one day on, one day off, one day on, one day off, because then it just starts feeling like school run.
Even the kids are like, is it daddy's day? Is it mummy's day? They're
getting confused.
They don't know whose day it is each day. Like,
really?
It's stressful.
Oh my gosh.
So like, yeah, I'm still trying to negotiate. It's been what? I'd say we officially proper, because we separated last summer and then it was the summer holidays and we did week on, week off. So we only been doing this since last September.
Okay.
So it's almost been like a year.
A bit new-ish.
Yeah, but I'm trying to negotiate, man. Take your kids for 3 days in a row. Like, I don't care what your work schedule is. What's best for the kids?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I guess as well, the back and forth for them as well can be a lot.
Yeah.
But if it's a lot for us, essentially for them kids, it's just like, I just want to lay in.
Yeah.
Or I just want, Mommy, can we just stay here for a sec?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. And what about child support?
Let me just put a disclaimer out there. The kid's dad is amazing with them. But I feel like he does tick boxes. So he pays the standard government amount for me having the kids 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Which I feel like, and then I buy all their clothes, all their costumes, all their everything for them falls on me because you've paid your child maintenance.
Yeah.
But it's like £207 a month. Like, I'm sorry, it's 2023, cost of living crisis.
Things are expensive.
That's 2 food shops for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I just feel like I would really appreciate if he was a bit more flexible in that.
Yeah.
But as it stands, other than like Rio's haircut, once he's done his child maintenance for the month, that's it. I don't see nothing else from him. And it's the government standard. Like, if you go on the government website, it's basic money. Like, it's basic change. But then I also feel very privileged because...
I mean, child support wise for me, he does pay monthly, which...
Do you feel like it's enough, considering you're with him 7 days a week?
Because I have one child.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. It depends. I think it probably depends.
Right,
like, if my mom's been all right as far as, like, you know, making money and stuff, then...
But just, see, why does it always fall back on us?
Again, you see, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's the mentality. If I go to him and I say, boom, this and this is happening, he will ask me why I need X, Y, and Z. You know how they always do, like,
would you need it for? Like, as if we're going to get our toes done with this money, or like,
and
get our hair
secretly
done.
In the back of their mind, I don't know, but a lot of guys think this. Honestly, I feel like it's other men, they'll be like, and the notion, the stereotypical thing that's out there about so-called baby moms, I hate that word, but baby mothers' children, or mothers, whatever.
Yeah.
The notion is just that, they take the money and they're not even using it on the child, they're just using it on themselves. However, contrary to what you just said, when you're with your children, you're spending with your money to begin with, at the beginning of the month, or whenever before he pays, you're spending on their clothing, you're spending on, you know, trips or whatever's broken, food, this, that, and the third, whatever. And you're using that money initially.
Yeah. And
then they're paying you basically for what you just used.
Yeah.
It's backdated. Yeah. But the notion is just that, you're just using that money yourself and you're going to do your
But you know what annoys me as well? Why are you mad at that? If, let's say, I spent the first half of the month's money on the kids, why are you mad I'm now using your money to treat myself? Like, don't you want the woman who's looking after your kids to feel good? Like, what is going on? I don't understand that with men. Like, you're angry because I'm looking after myself, but I also spend 90% of my time looking after your kids. What is it to go get my nails or toes done? Like, give me a break.
But it's crazy because even on good terms, like,
they still feel that way.
Even on
good terms. Like, that's the broke men though, I'm not gonna lie. Because I don't see no rich men complaining about their women going to get their toes. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's the busted men who turn up picking up the kids looking like...
It's true. At the end of the day, I don't even think anybody should be watching Pocket anyways.
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't ask him what he's spending his money on.
Exactly.
As long as you're doing what you need to do, financially, particularly in this case, that's it. That's all that matters. At least you know you paid. Do you get what I'm saying? At least you know you've done your part and that's it. But no one should pocket watch.
And also, don't you know me well enough to know there's no way I'm in the nail shop if my kids need something and I can't afford to do that first?
No, they think you're going to let your child just
stop
down.
Or wear some bottom. Listen, school's almost finished,
Yeah.
but River's dress looked wash out and too short. I had to buy her a new dress. And I know by September it's not going to fit her. So it's lasting her how many last weeks of school. But you have to do them things as a mother. You have to sacrifice and put the money with the kids first. So that's why it irks me, because I'm like, when have you ever seen our children go without? Why would you assume that they're going to go without because I'm in the nail shop? That's do you know what I mean?
I feel like there's a level of respect as well. It's just like, if you are a primary parent, there's a level of respect that you should have for that primary parent, because essentially we are doing the day-to-day job, the everyday day-to-day job, whereas you might not be doing the exact amount. So there should be a level of respect to be like, all right, cool, at least she deserves whatever it is, or what I've given her anyways. It shouldn't be a thing of like, I don't know what you're spending on, and questioning you when you're not fully. At least now I know that, and trust me, girl, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, but at least now I know that if I do have any type of struggle, I can go to him and he will find his way to help with that.
I wish I knew that, girl. Financially, we got the opposite. You got the financial support. I got the physical support, I feel like. And really, in an ideal situation, we'd have both. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, they'll be making sure you're good financially, but also they'll be physically really heavily involved.
Definitely. And like I said, it took a long time to get to this place anyways. Like, now, sometimes things happen and you might have a sour, bitter relationship between the person.
For the first few weeks.
And it breaks everything down. Like, it makes things hard. It makes things difficult. And again, things don't fall into line. But because we're not really at that space, like, genuinely, like, moved on. Like, I am not emotionally attached at all. Neither is he. So we're cool to the point where, like, literally, you can message me, you'll be like, oh, you're right, oh, I saw your friend, down, oh, yeah, cool, oh, okay, so, whatever, and we're cool to that point. That's it.
Do you know what? I think that's the key with this co-parenting thing.
100%.
Because
there you go. So, you just said it.
No, that is the key. Because so when we first separated, it was hella toxic.
Yeah.
For like at least the first few months.
Yeah.
We were doing petty things to each other, insults, arguing on the street, like them ratchet parents in the street shouting in front of the kids, because he's handed me River without her hair done, for example, and it's like, she's on her way to school, what's going on? Yeah. Like, it was just messy, And we actually, like, I don't know how he's going to feel about me sharing this, but we completed a co-parenting course.
Yeah.
One main thing I learned from it is, firstly, we're not that bad compared to some other co-parents. Like, there were some cray couples in there. Like, I feel sorry for them and their kids.
Just before we touch on that, what's the worst in that co-parenting course? What's the worst situation that you was privy to?
I could just see that, like, some of the man in there, the man them were very controlling, very manipulative, and the women looked damaged.
And they were together.
No.
Oh, they were separated.
Everyone in the course had separated.
Right.
Some were legally married. Some were just boyfriend girlfriend separated.
Okay. Yeah.
But like the you could just see, and it's weird because I feel like that was me 6 months ago. The pain, the frustration, and it's what you was touching on with, like, maybe they still dreaming that things are gonna work out, and the men were just. I mean, maybe I'm biased because I'm a woman, but there was 2 men in that course who I was just like, you are hell. Like, thank God I have this baby father and not you, because the way they talked about the women, the way they blew up situations, like, you could just imagine what it'd be like to co-parent with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So essentially, they were literally making the mom's life
hell.
Purposely.
Yeah, like, it felt intentional. It felt like, I'm gonna get you. Ha ha ha. Like, it didn't feel good.
Goodness. So touching on the course, what do you think was the best? Because it's over now, of course.
Yes.
So what do you think you got out of it the most, or what did you learn?
I'm not gonna lie. I've been since the separation. I was in therapy a lot. Okay. So I feel like
that's obviously separate from.
Yeah. So I've been working on myself. I know what my flaws are. I know, like, I know when I'm being petty. Like, I know myself very well. Every therapist I've ever talked to said you're very emotionally self-aware.
Yes.
So I'm very conscious of that. I feel like for the course, the kid's dad has now realised himself a little bit more and where he's going wrong. And then the one thing that stood out that I think we've both acknowledged is, so I don't know what their titles are, but the people running the course was like, there's 3 things that cause problems in a relationship, like when it comes to co-parenting.
Let us know.
It's the blame, ignore. So she was like, these are the 3 patterns of communication that break down, that cause problems. 100%. Because they blame you for something, you blame them something.
100%.
Or they blame you for something, you ignore it, you can't be bothered. Or it gets so bad that you're like, blocked, and this was me and the kids' dad.
Girl, I've done that too. Yeah. I've done it too.
So where he's having to like email me to send me a message about the kids because you're blocked.
I've been there. But do you know what? I feel like sometimes for your mental health, you just have to do it for a second.
It's like your own
It's
barrier.
not like you're blocking him permanently. Just for
I blocked him for like a month. It was so difficult.
But he was still getting the kids right.
Yeah, but then I would go to like drop the kids or pick up the kids and I'm at the wrong place because he's staying somewhere else that night. And so actually the
communication just got messy.
Yeah.
But again, like sometimes for your mental health, because you know, like we say things and we know that once we've said it, you can't take it back. Or whatever's done, once it's done, you can't take it back. So in that moment, if you feel like you need to just block someone, do it.
Do it before you say something wild.
Before you say something wild, and then it makes the relationship even more worse. Yeah. And then people hold on to grudges. You know what I'm saying? People like things, they'll start remembering things. Especially, I feel like with men, they'll start remembering certain things.
Listen, this kid's dad remembers things from like 6 years ago. I'm like, why are you bringing this up in 2023? That happened before the kids. Like, what's going on?
And they'll remember that and hold that in their heart.
Their ego.
Trust me. And then when the right moment comes bang, they bring it up in your face. And it's just like the best thing to do is just, you can actually just block that person for a second just to get a breather. Because it can get a lot.
It can.
If you've never experienced co-parenting before, like, it can never be a smooth road. Like, it's very rare. There are people out there that co-parent fine and, you know, I
don't know who those people are, but please leave us some comments and tell us how you do it.
I've known who've co-parented. I've heard the maddest stories. And don't get me wrong, I've had my own maddest story. But at the end of the day, it's hard. It's not an easy prospect.
But I have to stress, like, if you're unhappy, like the kids are happier now, we're separate. Yeah. I'm happier. Everyone can see it. Everyone I see says it. I don't know if he's happy yet, but at least we're not arguing every day.
Yeah.
Because it got to a point where every morning without fail before we leave the house, and it was triggering for me because it reminded me of my childhood. Screaming, shouting in the house, things getting slammed, doors. Do you know what I mean? But that's another thing I learned. So there's 2 things I learned. The communication cycles and then basically understanding, and this is hard for me because I'm a control freak. You can only control yourself. You cannot control how someone reacts 100%. And how someone acts. 100%. And actually, it's about sometimes like, pause. Let me not react to what you're doing right now because you're about to drag out my worst self.
100%.
Bye. Okay, I can't talk to you about this right now. Kind of like similar to the blocking thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to come back to this tomorrow when I've processed it, decided my response, and like it's not in the emotional reaction moment. It's actually like when I'm calmer. And I think with both of us, even we're very cautious, sometimes you'll be like, I'm sending this as a voice note because I want you to hear my tone rather than
read it and misinterpret.
Yes, so definitely. We're both being very conscious in how, when we do react to something or do have something to say that may be a bit annoying, how we deliver that.
100%.
And then also me, how I react to that information instead of my normal instinct is like, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But now it's like, let's just practice my breathing for a second.
Yeah, definitely. No, 100%. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I feel like it could be hard for another woman to maybe accept that fact as far as just like, you can't control what he does. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if I could literally go and drag a man by his hand and make him come and do you get what I'm saying? Or make you come and take care of your child. Right, then that's a whole different story, but we know we can't do that.
And the sad thing is, it's not even for us we want to do that. I mean, it was nice to have the break.
Right.
But it's for the child.
It's for the child.
Yeah.
And I feel like, especially what I've learned in my experience is that, you know, but it takes a lot of maturity and a lot of mental work. And this is why I stress therapy too, because just like you did therapy, I did therapy as well. I did it a while back now, but yeah. And so like once I just let it be, no bitterness, no going online.
Oh, I had those moments. The indirect were indirecting on my story, babe, for a long time.
I've just never been that person. Like I never go online chat. No, it's never been me or will never be me. It's just not in my nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I had let behind the scenes, let go, and I just said, you know what? For me, it's like if you're a father, if you want to make the effort to see your child, you're gonna make the effort.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you don't. I can't control. You can't control the other person.
And then you can explain that to your child when they're older, and they ask you, "Daddy, where was you?
Or why wasn't you here at this moment or that moment or whatever?" And again, like you also don't want to, because this is a hard one to get to as well. You don't also want to shut the door completely.
That's one thing. Can I just touch on with this co-parenting?
Yeah.
I actually can't for the mums who use the children as a weapon. Yeah. Like, why are you weaponizing your child? I think, so in the co-parenting course, they played us a video, and what they were stressing is that 50% of this child is the dad, and 50% is the mum.
50-50, yeah.
And when you teach your child to hate that 50% of themselves because it's their dad, the self-hate that they then internalize 100%. And they don't understand why they're feeling this,
100%.
But they're actually trying to like shut off a percentage of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's all down to basically, I feel like, unstable mothers who emotionally have been traumatized and are using the child to like as a little knife, like jab. Like that for me is really painful. And you see a lot of women doing that.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. And again, if you're not mentally there to realize these things, you will go down that route. But essentially, you got to realize, as much as you've birthed this child and stuff, that this child is still a separate individual.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You don't own them.
You don't own your children. They are children, but you don't own them. They are their own person. They are their own human being, and they're going to have their own lives.
Yeah. And
also, that element backfires.
100%.
Because later on, you just got to remember that you are just individual. And I got to a place where I'm just like, Rashan is his own person. It will backfire. Later on, you don't want to be that person where they say, but she said this and she tried to do it. Because then when he does start to create, always later on, they all start forging their relationships.
Especially in the teen years,
Especially in the teen years, and then they want to like be around their dad a lot more, or whatever it is.
And also, I feel like because you're his primary parent, it's easy to blame mum for everything.
It's easy.
Do you know what I mean? Because you're comfortable with mum, so it's easy to be like, oh, mum didn't do this, or mum did that. Instead of like, as a child, you don't acknowledge, wow. It's only as adults they look back and go, my mum did everything for me.
Exactly.
As children, it's mum's the one who told me off, who didn't let me see dad, who did like, do you know what I mean?
And you don't want to be that person.
No,
you never want to be that person, because then essentially I feel like my son would start to hate me for the fact that, you know what, actually I could have had this or had that, had you not lied, or had you not made up this, or had you not blocked him.
Yeah.
Do you know? So for me, it's very simple. Like, it needs to be very black and white. You need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, if you're just winging it, it becomes very messy. And around the time, I was living on my own, and, he'd be there. But it just wasn't working, because it's just like, there's, again, boundaries.
There's a guy called, I don't know his name, but he has a podcast, Raising Boys to Men, and he talks about this, about the father feeling like an expectation to just be in your house when it suits them. That's their way they're going to be around the kids. Oh, I'm just going to pop round. Honey, I can count on one hand how many times the kid's dad's been back in my house since he left. And usually it's because I'm running late and coming for 10 minutes. Although even actually off the back of the parenting course, we did do this thing like on a Sunday, if we've got anything to discuss, that first half an hour before he leaves with the kids, you can come in so they can see us together.
That makes sense.
But not just pop up. Let him try to pop up my house. He'll be standing on your doorstep. He'll be staying outside, honey. No, that's my house now.
And do you know what it is? It's very easy to get into that. It's very easy to fall in that, just because you think like, okay, we're on good terms.
Yeah.
Everything's fine, or we have a good, basically just functioning as though like you're friends.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to fall in that and be like, oh no, it's fine, just just, come in and sit down, and then 1 hour turns into 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then now you're spending the
Staying for
night.
lunch. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
Lunch or
staying the night. We definitely had that in the beginning of our separation, but I think that was very intentional. Like, we was thinking, can we save the marriage again?
Now, see, that's different. That's very different
Yeah.
because it was for the purpose and the intent to
Try and
salvage your
save.
relationship.
But that didn't work either.
And it didn't work.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it, because the kids are in the house and they'll feel more comfortable if he's in the house and sleeps over.
Nah. Because actually what you're doing is you're confusing them. So why is daddy here last night but he's not here the next night, the next night? I think it's best, because we did this. So after we decided, no, we can't save this marriage, after months of hating each other, we tried to come back together. Christmas, we went to Winter Wonderland together.
Aww.
Because we know
Love
how much
that.
River loves fun fairs.
Yeah.
And even recently I messaged him saying, we're about to go on a big trip. Before we go on this big trip, should we do the 4 of us play date? Because I have noticed the kids absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Like when we're together, especially River, who knew that so well before we separated. Yeah. Like they're like, oh my God, mommy and daddy like together. Like it's almost like they're spoiled in that moment.
Yeah.
So I am trying to slowly, with boundaries and with my own like patience and like, my rules, be like, okay, we could, like, for example, on River's birthday, we both dropped her to school. I had to have him sitting in my car, like, but it was for River's birthday. It was just a school run. Now we're going to try to do this play day.
Yeah.
And like, I think if you can, because now I'm at a point where I look at him and there's no attraction, there's nothing there anymore. You are the kid's dad at the end, full stop. I feel like 6-7 months ago, it would have been messy.
Hard, yeah,
because I'm still like pining, grieving.
Yeah.
So you have to know yourself very well and know, actually, I am okay to be around him. Because if he did get a call from a girl while we're out, I'm not bothered. Thank God. Take him.
Listen,
Take him away.
Listen, we make jokes about this all the time. Like when I went to go see Beyonce, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna. Obviously not. I wasn't going to drive there, especially if I don't live too far from there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was nowhere really for me to park unless you got,
Hook up. Thanks for the hook up.
There was no way for me to park. So I was just like, I was saying to him, I don't know how I'm going to get down there.
Yeah.
The roads were ram everywhere. So
Yeah.
I was like, I need to figure this out. He's like, oh, why don't you get one of your little boyfriends to take you, drive you down there? And he'll make like little silly jokes like that all the time. And to be honest, I'll do it back. I'll be like, oh, why don't you ask a little girlfriend to whatever? Do you know what I'm saying? But we're able to do that because we're not, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean nothing. I'm not going to come off the phone.
Am I going to make you cry?
I'll come off the phone.
He's going to get home. What? Do you know what's funny? Me and the kid's dad have not, neither of us, I mean, he did see me with a guy in a coffee shop and assumed the worst. It was not even that. That's the irony.
Was that, around what period was that? Was that around...
That was around the time we was trying a little bit.
Okay, so...
So he was like, you're shady. And I was like, I literally turned up to this coffee shop in my sweaty gym clothes, unshowered, with a hat on.
Yeah.
Like, I looked a mess.
Yeah.
This was not a date,
Yeah.
but he assumed it was a date. So he would hate to hear about my dating life now. But I feel like with him, I'm at that point now where I'm like, we don't speak about it. He's not told me he's dating anyone. I've not told him I'm dating.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's sorry to cut you in.
No,
That's the
it's
thing
fine.
as well. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I wouldn't sit there and be like, so which girl have you got now? And what man? We're not doing that at all.
Yeah. I don't need to know.
Definitely.
But
yeah.
also, if you are dating someone, I don't care. Do you know what I mean?
And I think again, that's just what it boils down to is feelings. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I know some women right now who. Again, who are doing the whole...
They're still in their feelings.
They're still in their feelings, but also denial, sorry. And what else? I don't know. It's just kind of like, well, we're just winging it. And I guess if he comes round, he and he can stay in my house and all of that stuff.
That's the downfall.
That's where the downfall is. And I think I've definitely learnt now, like, boundaries and schedule.
And like structure, schedule. Yeah.
Schedule, that is the key.
Even if it changes week to week, but like maybe on a Sunday you communicate, right, this week you're going to see the kids these days.
Yes.
Like I think that's so important to your own mental health, and also so you can plan your life a bit more. You're not waiting on, is he going to show up today? Isn't he? Oh, I need to do this, but he's about, do you know what I mean? Like it gives you more power over your life and more
Yeah.
control over what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And like I said, the need for control, you have to let go of it. Honestly, like to be honest, it's easier for me to say because I've got a plethora of people around.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
I wouldn't want to speak on the woman who hasn't.
Yes, and it's just her and the dad who's not really active.
I can't speak on that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
That's
because
a
I
different-
wouldn't know how to live that life. That's a whole different ball game. I'm lucky enough, like I said, to have a plethora of people around.
I think then, like, from my friend who's going through this, you need to really lean on, like, whoever your childcare provider is,
100.
make best friends with them. Take them cookies
100.
because there will be a day when you're running late, and if they like you, they're going to allow you that extra fee
Yeah.
if you're 20 minutes late.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
some
yeah.
places, if they don't have that relationship with you, they're just going to be like, right, that's another £15 next month. And I think also, and I'm having by force to start to do this because where I live, I'm not close to my friends and family.
Okay.
But like make mum friends in the area.
Yes.
So there's only a handful from the school.
But you got to have people around, definitely.
Yeah, if it's not your friends and family, have that mutual mum who maybe it's on a Saturday, I'm going to take your child. I mean, depends how many kids they got. If it was T, I wouldn't be volunteering for all 4 of them. But I'll take your child out this Saturday
Yeah.
so you can get a like break. You take my kid next Saturday, and do the as well, the safety checks as well with that parent.
Yeah,
like how do they talk to their
defo.
kids?
Yeah.
Because even like swearing around my kids,
Oh,
I don't
no,
tolerate
no, no.
it. They're not allowed to watch too much screen time.
Yeah,
They're not allowed
no,
no
no.
screen time in the week. So you have to have those conversations to make sure
You're
your
on the
child's
same
in care.
page.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on a similar page.
Yeah,
but I feel like you
definitely.
can tell from the kid what the mum's like. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. So yeah. Oftentimes you can. Like,
Because even River got called sassy, and I was a bit offended at first. Because it was like, you called my
Who
little black
called her
girl
sassy?
sassy? One of the teachers.
Oh.
But then the way she's been talking about recently, you are sassy, and why are you so confident? Because I'm your mom, I get it. Do you know what I mean?
The sassiness from you.
So
and stuff like
you
that, yeah.
you have to assess the kids and decide, like, are you the type of kid I want my child around? Because if you're not, the mum's probably
No, it's true.
worse.
It's true. I feel fortunate actually that everyone that I'm around who has a child or who's been around or whatever, everyone's quite calm and normal. Like
Good.
I haven't seen that out of. No, I haven't come.
You
across
live in
that
a
yet.
bougie place,
I know,
anyways, babe.
do you know what,
I can imagine.
Everybody's just like, calm.
Yeah.
Like, no problems there. But again, with our situations, it's like trying to find the positive in things because,
Yes.
even though, and again, things might change because
100%.
with co-parenting, even though I talk about my situation and it not necessarily being all the way straightforward or completely how I want it, we are still in a process where we talk about how we can make things better. And I think that's
100%.
where you need to get to because even if it's not the way you want it to be, again, like you might not want it to be like the day on, day off, day on, day off, day on thing.
Do you know what? I'm so sick of that schedule, but also what that co-parenting course taught me is that just be grateful because it could get to a point because he does it around his schedule to make it work for him.
Yeah.
Get a point where he goes, oh, do you know what? I'm not doing it. Do you know what I mean? And then that would be worse. So what would I rather?
Yeah.
Wake up every morning or have no days to myself, like no evenings to myself.
Yeah,
Do you know
which
what I
is
mean?
true. But again, like, it's not to the point where you have a completely fractured relationship.
Yeah.
And I think another thing we need to point out as well is accountability. Mm-hmm. Because I think as parents, we definitely just need to hold ourselves accountable for the things that might have happened that might have helped the situation.
Yeah.
As opposed to blaming, again, you pointed that out in the course.
Blame.
The blame game, you did this and you did that and because when you're not taking accountability, essentially it's just like, you're just, I don't know, you're living in your head and you're staying in the thought process of how you want things to be.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're not working with the other
You're
person.
dealing with a whole separate human with their own problems, their own schedule.
Do you know, me and you, we both have our own lives, our schedules, our this, or that. But if we're trying to actually work together, then it's a different story. I think when you're not trying and your relationship is fractured, then it's like...
Yeah. Especially when you're, like you said, it's my way or the highway attitude. It's never going to work.
It's never going to work. And in the beginning, a lot of that was happening.
Same, yeah.
It was just very like, no, I'll do it like this, or no, do it like that. And again, in the beginning of co-parenting, you're actually learning how to function separately in that environment, and it's very new. Because he might do things that you might not necessarily agree with.
Oh, 100%.
And then I might do things that he might not necessarily agree with. Do you get what I'm saying? But we have to find a middle ground, and that's where the work comes in. So,
and then also I feel like, you know when they say don't sweat the small stuff?
Yeah.
So this father of my kids, from the moment they were born until now, he has never cleaned their ears and he has never cut their nails. It drives me mad because he has them on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Which
unless I remember on the Saturday, and normally we're out and about play dates, one day I pick them up for school and their nails are like all long and dirty. The ears, like even today I had to clean some wax out of River's ear in the car on the way. And it's like, I've had to accept, and it was similar about washing her hair, but recently his mum started plaiting and washing her hair.
Right.
Just know that those are your chores. Because the amount of times I've moaned to him about cleaning their ears and cutting their nails, that the moaning, the energy I put into the moaning, let me just do it. Just to keep the peace.
Literally.
Because he's not going to do it. He just doesn't do it.
This is like so important because I know when people always say like, you got to know the person who you're getting involved with and stuff. Knowing the person, who they are, and just realizing that, okay, you're just gonna have to.
You have to compensate what they don't do.
Exactly.
The same way I may not play with Rio in the garden for 2 hours with football. Like, I'm not gonna do that. He's gonna do that.
I ain't doing that either.
Do you know what I mean? We might do 20 minutes,
which is why exactly. Which is why I'm like, okay, well, I'm so glad my family's full of man. Like, honestly,
for them,
my family is full of man, so it's just like I'm able to, and not only just family. I've got, I'm very blessed with people in my life,
like male role models and influences.
The women, men, everyone. I just feel like I'm very blessed with people I have in my life, genuinely, because again, not even just family, like friends of like guys who are my friends and strictly platonic.
Yeah.
Please, that's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
Strictly platonic, and they're cool enough to where I don't know if my tire's like low and I don't know how to whatever, they'll come and they'll do it.
Oh, my mechanic friend like that, he doesn't talk to me no more. I need to break friend with him again because honestly I can't with the car maintenance.
Honestly, stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that, car maintenance, whatever, like, or something needs to get fixed. Like there is definitely someone I can call.
That's nice.
And
it's nice that person isn't the kid's father. So then let's say if you are in something with him in that moment, it's not, oh my God, who am I going to call? What am I going to do? That's another tip. Make other male friends
100%.
Who are going to be role models to your children, who are going to support you in them things that
100%.
Come more natural maybe like to them.
100.
Yeah, 100%.
100. Like, honestly, that's really, really important. And obviously, I know in this day and age, everyone feels like men can't be friends with women because there's always an ulterior motive or underlying, thing. But if you've got a son, particularly if you've got a son, I would say definitely try and have that positive male figure around. And like
whether
I said,
it's like, it could be an uncle, could be a granddad, could be a cousin,
whoever.
Because as much as I think I'm a tomboy, Rio, my son, really feels like male energy from his dad.
Yes.
Like, he knows 100%. The difference. That's why he takes the piss with me.
100%.
And he's like, do you know what I mean? Like, so I feel like even if you're not going to get that from their father, get that from a male in your life. Because they need it. They need it. 100%. The boys need it when they're younger growing up. The girls need it when they're teenagers dealing with all the boy drama. So they need it.
They definitely do. So I would say I'm lucky in that sense, So... Yeah.
I feel like we should give some final tips to, like, when you're in the thick of it and it's not a civil situation like what we're in, how do you deal with, like, basically when you're still in your feelings about everything, you still actually want this man, but it's clear that it's not going to work out.
The tip that I would give is first take yourself out of the situation. Mm-hmm. So your mind's not operating in it.
Yeah.
Because when your mind's operating in it, you're thinking very differently as opposed to looking at it from an outsider point of view. So I would say take yourself out of it first and just assess it as a whole. Don't assess it for what he can get, you can get, or what can happen in that moment. Assess it as a whole, how it's going to help long term.
Yeah.
And you can think clearer and you can see it for what it really is.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes as women, we don't like seeing things
blinded.
For what it is. Yeah.
And do you know what? That links into what I was going to say, because I've done a lot of self-help. And one of the main things that I've taken away is focus on, and this is for my women who are really desperate to get back with their children's father and he's not giving. Focus on how they make you feel rather than how you feel about them.
100%.
Because as women, we always obsess over how we feel, not how they're making us feel. And if your child's father is not making you feel secure, is not making you feel respected, is not making you feel loved, is not making you feel like you're a priority, then he's probably not the one for you. And you have to take your time to grieve that and accept that.
Accept it.
Rather than, because trust me, the whole like, oh, he was good this week, oh, but he's bad. That dragged out, which I did at the beginning. We dragged out the separation. Like, we was living in separate houses, but we're still trying.
Which happens.
It just prolongs. It just prolongs.
It prolongs. It happens, and it prolongs it. But once you get to the other side and you realise, okay, you know what? It's fine. This person, I'm no longer romantically linked with this person. Mm-hmm. However, they are still going to be in the rest of your life.
Yeah, forever.
It's
longer than a marriage.
You're tied. So, you just got to look at it that way. And be happy. Be happy that, again, happiness, the last tip actually, just embrace the happiness. You should want the other person to be happy, to move on and find their person, to be in a good situation. Because when everybody's happy, I promise you, smooth sailing.
Yeah.
You don't want to you don't want to harbor bitter feelings. You don't want to harbor resent. And I feel like conversation is really important. If you've got to have that conversation. You've got to put things out on the table, really discuss it. I know it's hard because there's so many terms out there. There's some narcissistic men out there and all those things and whatnot.
Manipulate the situation.
Yeah, that will. And I can't give advice to you. I'd definitely say speak to a therapist about that.
Or read a book. Read a book if you don't want to talk to someone.
Study it, learn it. And obviously there's extreme cases where there's women out there who are dealing with serious
domestic
issues,
abuse or sexual abuse.
Right, which again we cannot speak on at all.
We're not professionals.
Right. So I would just say if you can and you're in a situation that's just fine, have that conversation with them, speak to them, find a middle ground if you can.
And the kids can sense when you're happy.
100.
The other thing I'd say is along with happiness, embrace the loneliness.
Definitely.
I read this yesterday that
this is gonna go into dating, girl. I need another episode for dating.
So loneliness is always, or being alone, in the dictionary has two definitions. Yeah. We as humans always link it to loneliness, but actually the other definition is solitude.
100.
And I have had to accept life by myself. The silence in the house when the kids are with their dad. Yep. No one's around. And I'm starting to appreciate it.
Yeah.
As busy working mums, sometimes we don't. To have an hour of silence in your house.
You see, when they go to bed and it's your time, that is, to me, that's like drinking a cold ice water.
On a hot summer's day.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. It's so bliss.
Embrace that because honestly, it will only be a matter of time till you're back checking for some next guy who's sending you up the roller coaster.
Right.
So just really make the most of that time for you to prioritise you because we never do as working mums. We always have something else to prioritise.
Always. Oh, yeah. Oh, this has been an amazing episode. Oh, my God. We could have talked for 10 hours. In it. Make sure you follow us on all platforms, all streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, and also on social media, Badassmums.